Yeah, I encourage you to keep your video on if you can, since it's a small class. And so if there is any non-comprehension, I can, you know, I can address that. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now the Shanti Mantra for this, which is in the chat pod. You can just read it there. Om. I will chant and you can just repeat to yourself. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaha Chakshushrotram Atho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaha Chakshushrotram Atho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani. Sarvam Brahmaupanishadam. Sarvam Brahmaupanishadam. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. Mama Brahma Nirakarot. Mama Brahma Nirakarot. Anirakaranamastu. Anirakaranamastu. Anirakaranam me astu. Anirakaranam me astu. Tadatmani nirate. Tadatmani nirate. Ya Upanishatsu dharmaha. Ya Upanishatsu dharmaha. Te mayi santu. Te mayi santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Welcome to everyone, and welcome to what is called Bhashya study. Bhashya means commentary, and commentary to the Upanishad, to a primary text, is called Bhashya, generally Upanishad. We have a rich tradition of commentary because the tradition is thousands of years old. And so every scholar came up with something or the other and then had something to say about whatever, the other person said, and took it a little further, agreed, disagreed, all that is, allowed in the tradition, because the study of the Upanishad is not, or Vedanta in general, is not a belief based tradition. It is not a belief based tradition in the sense that, I believe or I am saved or whatever it is that, certain theologies profess. This is not that at all. And it is not that because this is something to understand. It is a cognitive pursuit, and since it is a cognitive pursuit, there will be doubts, there will be errors, there will be a very healthy debate till the person understands. After that, what? Anya vacha pramunchata. This is what the Kathopanishad says. Give up all other talk. What is there to talk about? The Upanishad is really not worth talking about. It is worth teaching, but there is nothing to discuss, nothing to disagree, nothing to, what is that you complain about at all? What is there to talk about? There's nothing to talk about if we really look at it this way. It's a very, very beautiful tradition. And so the tradition is a very is by nature, it's a scholarly tradition. It's a scholarly tradition in the not in the sense that it is going over the heads of the people. That's not what I mean to say. It's a scholarly tradition in the sense that great thought has been placed over every single utterance of the Upanishad. Not even an u or a ha or cha or vai. These are all indeclinables, you know. These are all little indeclinable particles that are there sometimes for emphasis, sometimes for history, sometimes, um, for saying because, for giving the reason, but it is not glossed over. Each and everything is just accounted for. And so the primary commentaries by Adi Sankara, although other people, have written bhashyas, like the famous one, Patanjali's Mahabhashya, for the Paninian Sutras that is there. But still, uh, Adi Shankara, Adi Shankara's bhashya has something which is unique, which is unlike any other bhashya. And that is why Adi Shankara is called Bhashyakara. So whenever the term Bhashyakara, Kara means the one who produces Bhashya. So whenever the term Bhashyakara comes, we have to think of Adi Shankara. No one else fits the bill. Because you will see, as the study unfolds, you will see the reasons why. And then, the Bhashya has got so many other things. Tika is just a certain critique, certain notes that that the person who wrote the tika had a certain angle, and then they supplied certain things that the bhashya did not look at, or perhaps looked at briefly, and so they elaborate on that. Tika, short critical notes. Then after Tika, you have, so the Tika is also again one person has stood out, one scholar has stood out as as Tikakara, who is that Anandagiri. So Bhashyakara, you think of who? Of course, Adi Shankara. Tikakara, you think of Anandagiri. Then there is another form of commentary in verse in the tradition, and that is called Vartika. Vartika is just is like a bhashya, but in verse. It's written in verse. So Vartika is there, and then Vartikakara is Sureshwaracharya, one of the disciples of Adi Shankara. So Vartikakara means we immediately, it's like synonyms. Sureshwara and Vartikakara are one and the same. So this is how, and then what else is there? Karika. Karika, another type of commentary in verse. This Karika, and that Karika is, the famous Karika is Gaudapadacharya Karika for the Mandukya Upanishad. So like this, the tradition is, builds upon Adi Shankara's bhashya. It does not negate it. It takes it to another level, and it just unfolds it very, very beautifully and builds upon it, and then gives us, as a result, we have this very, very, very rich and profound tradition that analyzes the statements of the Shastra, not to show off one's erudition or scholarship. No. So then why are the statements analyzed? The statements are analyzed for deeper percolation in the heart. That is why. Yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye, Bhagavad Gita says that the yogis, people who know, they also do karma. But what do they, why do they do karma? For the sake of clarity, for the sake of antahkarana shuddhi, for the sake of their own clarity, they do that. Not for showing off, not for getting people into some kind of a maze of arguments. That is not the reason. So the Bhashya study is looking at the Upanishad sentences and words, and then after that, shining the flashlight, or since it is ancient, we should perhaps say oil lamp of Adi Shankara's words. So the words of Adi Shankara illumine the words of the Upanishad and brings things to light that we would have never even imagined, that this is how to think about, this is how to see, this is how to understand, this is how to assimilate. This is very important because Adi Shankara is our only link to how the teaching tradition must have been. This is the first link, really. Lord Vyasa, yes, definitely. And then after that, Adi Shankara is our link to the tradition. How are the words unfolded? Like the word jnanam means knowledge, generally speaking. But in certain places, it means meditation, upasana. So, how do you tell? We rely on the bhashya because it is a tradition of understanding and assimilation. And the tradition, what is there to understand? There is only one thing to understand. Atma is Brahman, only one thing to understand. A for Atma, B for Brahman, C for Chit, D for Dharma. That is how you get there. And then, we can keep going. E for Eshana, which have to be removed. Eshana means desires, okay, which have to be taken care of. We don't have F, we have pa for karma phalam. We can keep on going, you know. And then this is the ABCD of Vedanta. It's just Atma and Brahman. In fact, somebody asked Pujya Swamiji once, I attended last year one class. This was a gentleman who came to the ashram every New Year. We have a big New Year function. So he used to come to the ashram on the New Year's Day. And in his mind, if he studied Vedanta on New Year's Day and attended one lecture, that means it was as good as studying every day. That was his belief. So he used to come, and then he said, one day he said, Swamiji, last time I came, you were talking of Atma and Brahman. And before that, also you were talking of Atma and Brahman. Today's at lecture I attended, you're still talking of Atma and Brahman. So anything else, any other new things are there? And then Swamiji slowly said, how many lectures have you attended? I come very faithfully. I'm a regular student of yours once a year. So then Swamiji said, you keep coming, keep listening. What else to say? Yeah. So that is the only thing that is there to say. What is there to reveal the tatparya of the Upanishad is Brahmatmaika, Brahmatmanaha Aikyam. The Aikyam, the oneness of that which we call Brahman, that sentient consciousness, which is all pervasive and limitless. The only thing that is there is which is the cause of the universe, is non-separate from yours truly, the one who is complaining all the time, the one who is feeling abandoned, neglected, tearful, fearful, afraid of this, and puk when something else comes, and then always crying, always finding fault. This is the one. So this jiva who is so critical, self-critical and critical of others, and this jiva is told, you are not what you think. You are not this sad bag of misery. You are the whole. You are limitless. You are Ishvara. No, no, no. How can I be Ishvara? Ishvara means God, right? Yeah. Ishvara is Bhagavan, God. How can I be God? I feel rather odd. I think if you say God, it must be G silent. It is just odd. And you say I am the cause. I want to add a little prefix. I am because. I'm not the cause. I'm because. And then you say that you are the whole, and I'd like to change the spelling of the whole, HOLE. That's what I am. How can I be Ishvara? This is This is because the I is stuck in in its identification of the body mind sense complex. That is where it is stuck. It is completely identified with the body, with the mind, with the senses, which is a mere shell where the I just inhabits, blesses, and then goes away, like even a butterfly alighting on a flower sits and sips the nectar, rolls around in the pollen and then flies away. That is what this body is. And so the only thing to know is this oneness with Ishvara, oneness with the Jagat, oneness with the Jiva. And that oneness, if anybody has any question why that oneness should be understood, that oneness alone is two things I want to say about this oneness. First is it is craved by everybody. There is a universal longing. This is not specific to India, which is the home of the Upanishads. Anybody, anywhere, anyhow, will still have this longing to be one with everything, to be in harmony with everything, to be the best, to be whole, to be free, to stop feeling self critical, self judgmental. You ask anybody. You ask anybody, do you like to feel, do you enjoy feeling self critical? What are they going to say? Of course not. So, this is a universal longing. And if we analyze the longing, it is the longing to be belonging. Yeah, this is what it is. So, longing to belonging. This is how it is. And so, this longing to belong to what? To belong to something other, the bigger than me. To be one with something other than myself. Because this myself is actually sickening. If you look at it, so many problems. And as soon as you wake up, they don't spare you. The alarm rings and the problems also stretch and yawn and demand some coffee and then drive you crazy. This is all happening in the head. And therefore, the study of the Upanishad takes care of this, what is called samsara, the needing to belong, the feeling of being abandoned, the feeling that I am not enough. No matter how much I accomplish, the pressure to do something or the other all the time. This is what is removed. This is what is removed. And in this removal, we have what is called moksha, which is one's nature. And the beauty of it is that this longing to belong and this longing to do something or the other is, is just an expression of self ignorance. Just an expression of self ignorance. The longing is a manifestation of self ignorance. The self critique is a manifestation of self ignorance. The self, putting down the self all the time is a manifestation of ignorance. Finding fault with the whole, with the universe, with God, with Ishvara, with everything is a manifestation of self ignorance. It's all a manifestation of self ignorance. And so, therefore, if the self ignorance were not there, the import of the sentences is like this: if the self ignorance were not to be there, then what would happen? Then I would already be free. You are already free. You are already free. You are already whole. You are already completely, without a second, the only thing that is there in the universe worth talking about is you. And if this is known, one is free. If this is not known, there is samsara. What is samsara? Glub, glub, glub. Drowning, present continuous. If it is drowned, okay, it's done. Done, finished, but it is drowning. Come up for air and say hi to a few friends and say, oh, I achieved this, and my family is doing very well. My son got a promotion. My daughter is in a very good job. Club, 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 back again. Something pushes. There is this feeling of oppression. And this that is why the Upanishad study is ajnana nivritti. It is not new knowledge being drilled into the head. It is the removal of this atma ajnanam. The I always is partially known. And dear friends, we know that half knowledge is dangerous. I is partially known. How is it partially known? Are you here? Well, yes. First, people will think, is that a trick question? No, 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 I'm really asking, are you here? Oh, what a silly question. Of course, I'm here. Then, that I is known. You don't need a certificate of existence. You know, when we registered the ashram, Arsha Vijnana Gurukulam, then we had to get a certificate of existence. They gave one piece of paper. I thought it was very funny, certificate of existence. But do you need a certificate of existence? Not at all. And if somebody goes to, what is that, social security building, and then say, I need a certificate of existence, they'll just, they'll say, okay, go to the fourth floor. No, 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 go to the sixth floor. You'll be there all day. And they just, keep you like a football, going from place to place. You don't, because this is what self-evidence means. Self-evident I doesn't need a certificate of existence. So the I is known. I am. I know. I know I am. I know I'm the observer. I know I'm the thinker. I know I'm the knower. I know that I don't know something. All this I know. So I am is known. But please don't ask the next question, which Ramana Maharshi is famous for. What is that? Who am I? Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi is famous for this question. Don't ask the question, who are you? Because then I will say, how much time do you have? How much time you got? Because I have a lot of things to say about myself. Lot of things to say. And then this is basically because when the I is half known, partially known, like even a rope in the twilight. Like the twilight has to be an important aspect of our rope snake example. So in the twilight, the rope is there, something is lying in the ground, and then it becomes a sitting duck to receive the projection of the snake. It's as though the rope, lying conveniently with three bends, is waiting for the snake, which is in your head, to fly on it and then lie down exactly on the rope. The snake of fear, the snake of terror, the snake of anyatha jnanam. Ajnanam is a two-part process. First is na janami iti aham ajnah. I don't know. I don't know who I am. And I don't know. I have self-ignorance. This is a problem. But really, is it a problem? Because the pet dog also has self-ignorance. Pet dog doesn't know that actually its spelling should be backwards, God. That is its nature. It is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. It doesn't know. The pet dog does not know this at all. But still, it seems to be happier than most people. As long as it is not, it is not become the target of somebody's abuse. As long as it is taken care of, it seems to be fine. It seems to be happier than most of the people. Pet dog has ajnanam, pet cat has ajnanam, and all the things in nature, the pakshis, the birds, the wild cats, the animals, everything, hyenas, meerkat, this cat, that cat, all of them have atma ajnanam, and they all seem much happier than human beings. So to say ajnanam is the cause of sorrow is not completely correct. Why? Because of the fact that ajnanam is a two-part process. So, ajnanam, I don't know myself. The dog also doesn't know itself. But then the second part of it is, I don't know myself, dot, dot, dot. Therefore, I think I am an idiot. This is the special property, dharma of the human beings. The dog doesn't worry about its pedigree or with the fact that it doesn't have a degree. Neither degree nor pedigree or the lack thereof is a problem for the dog. And then, I have seen this, what is that? Some on TV I saw once. Westminster Dog Show, and then all of them, they are always constantly being brushed, these dogs, and they have perfect gait, and then they go around in a circle and they trot around, and this and the owner's chest is all puffed up, this is my dog, and and then he holds a ring, and the dog jumps through the ring, and it goes perfect, wonderful. And then it comes and stands there without panting, very well mannered dog. And then the judges come and take notes, look it up and down and all over and everything, take notes. And then finally it is given a certificate with a big blue bow. Okay. My question to you is the certificate for the dog or is it for the owner? If the certificate was given to the dog, it would assimilate it. Bhakshanam would happen. It would eat it up immediately. Yeah. After all, it is used to eating homework of little children, so it would eat this up also. And but it is the owner who will keep it very, very carefully, get it framed, and then show it off to all the friends and relatives. My dog, my dog, my dog. This is what it is. And so this dogged attempt, this dogged attempt to seek approval and to want something to go a certain way is the second aspect of ajnanam which befalls the human being, and this is what is called anyatha jnanam. Ajnanam, not knowing. Anyatha jnanam, knowing something as other than what it is. This is the problem. And back to the rope snake example. So here is something lying on the ground. It is partially recognized because we cannot have a projection on an unknown rope. For example, if it were pitch dark, then there would be there would be absolutely no projection possible. Anyatha jnanam, in other words, is a projection, a subjective projection. Adhyasa, another name for it. Adhyasa, and then since the rope is involved, we can also say aropa, same thing. This is a good way to remember, okay? Maybe the ancient sages of Sanskrit knew that the word rope would come. They had they one-upped English language and said aropa, that which is seen on the rope, aropa. And so this is something, adhyasa, aropa, and all these are, synonyms. Subjective projection on the rope. Subjective projection on the rope happens when the projection cannot happen on an unknown rope because there is nothing to see. So there cannot be a projection. And suppose it is broad daylight. It is 12 o'clock, noon, wherever you all are. And then you go out into the backyard and what do you see? You see the rope. Can you see the snake at the same time? Yes? No? Absolutely not. You cannot see the snake. Why? Because now it has become a known rope. A known rope doesn't attract a projection, a subjective projection. An unknown rope doesn't attract a subjective projection of the snake. It's the partially known rope. So, what is the rope in this example? The technical term is adhisthana. Adhi plus tha plus anam. It's a particular suffix lut. Adhi plus tha plus lut becomes anam. Don't ask me why. That is for the matter for the Sanskrit class. Just take my word here. So this anam, adhishthanam. So adhishtha, stha to stay, to be. Adhi, means underneath whatever it is, to stay. And then that which is the in other words, the word adhishthanam doesn't have an English translation at all, unless if you want to say adhishtanam, that could be, that is allowed, okay? So if you want to have an American accent for it, that's fine. But really speaking, it doesn't have an adequate English translation. People have tried, scholars have said, what have they said? They have said, for example, substratum, and so many other things, substratum. So some other words are also there, but this one comes directly to mind. Substratum, this, that, all these things, but they don't do the word justice. So what is adhishthanam? Adhishthanam, to understand it, you can say the truth of the rope here. If the rope is the adhishthanam, that being the truth, that is what it means. So on an unknown adhisthana, you cannot have a projection. And neither can you have a subjective projection on a known adhisthana. And so in the drishtanta example, in the example of the rope snake, the rope has to be partially known. And in the darshtanta means that which is exemplified. In the darshtanta, what do we have? In the darshtanta, we have the rope. The rope stands for Atma, I. The rope stands for the self, I. And then what is the snake? I am an idiot. I am not enough. I'm filled with guilt. Kimaham sadhu na karavam, kimaham papamakaravamiti. Iti. Taittiriya Upanishad. Why didn't I do the right thing? Why did I do the wrong thing? Yes, reproduced for you with swaras in English. Okay. So this is why did I do the wrong thing? Why didn't I do the right thing? I should have known better. I can't handle myself. This is the problem. This is where the Upanishad comes and embraces like 1,000, and these days, because it is Kali Yuga, we have to add 1,000 functional mothers. Yeah, because it is Kali Yuga, we have to add this. Like 1,000 loving and functional mothers wipes away the tears and the fears and says, what snake? What idiocy are you talking about? All that is there is you. Look around. There is not even another source of fear. Because if fear is dependent on there being at least two things, then all that is there is you. What are you worried about? And then sorrow also, I'm sad because I have this, or because I didn't have this, or because this happened to me. There is no this. There is no object of this cognition at all, because it is all swahad up. Swahad up means swallowed up. Yeah, by the I. All that is there is you. That is what it is. And so, therefore, the adhisthana being partially understood is the problem of samsara. Problem called samsara. This is the this is what has to be removed. So, ajnana nivritti, the removal of this ajnanam, means what? Is as good as the removal of subjective projections. The withdrawal of subjective projections is a natural happening, is a natural event when when you have the Upanishad. The Ajnana goes away and all the Anyatha Jnanam also goes away. Anyatha Jnanam means knowing myself wrongly. That also goes away. Completely goes away. And that therefore we need the Upanishad study, and therefore this what is that? Therefore, we are going to start the study of the sixth chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad. And why the sixth chapter? Because it is very, very beautiful. And of course, people who have studied other chapters with me will have heard me say that those are also very beautiful. So, but that's how it is. But the sixth chapter is universally loved because even by people who don't know you for Upanishad, not you as in YOU, but the letter U for Upanishad, even people who don't know, people know Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi has become world famous. Google it and you will see how many hits it will have. It is amazing. It has become universally famous, and everybody, whether they know how to say Mahavakya or whether they know its purport, whether they know our, the tradition, they know that this is something to hanker after. Tattvamasi is like a balm, a promise, a hopeful promise that it unfolds. Therefore, the sixth chapter, very, very beautiful. And the uh, the sixth chapter also is because, just like we identify with Arjuna, we all have the same questions that Arjuna has, but then we don't ask it, and he asks it for all of us, and this is just wonderful. And so therefore what? So same thing. Shvetaketu becomes a stand-in for the seeker, the sadhaka. The seeker, the Shvetaketu becomes a stand-in. There are many things we identify with Shvetaketu. The reluctance to go study first, and then having come back from university, a kind of a what should we call it? Peacock syndrome, strutting around. Look at me, I'm the best, east or west. You chant one word or one sentence of the Veda. Agnimi ile purohitam yajnasya devam ritvijam. And then you look around. Who is admiring? I got all the swaras right. Who is looking? Who is clapping? Oh, nobody is. They are jealous. This is how the person spends the time. And there is a certain kind of a similarity to, to us as a civilization. We suffer from a hubris of, feeling like we know a lot. And this is not just at the individual level. This is at the level of the collective. No matter where you go, that feeling like, yes, I have everything on my fingertips. I know this, I know that, I know that, I know this, completely. And that is very much there. And so the sixth chapter, you know, addresses this ahankara, this I notion, with the hubris that I know everything. In fact, the whole Chandogya Upanishad is meant for scholars, really. if not scholars, people who have a deep desire for learning and have already they have an introspective contemplative mind, and they want to go deeper, they want to delve deeper into the study, and they already know a lot. For such people, the study of the Chandogya is really advised, because sometimes what you know can stand in the way of what is that which is to be known. So we find this repeatedly in the three chapters of the Upanishad that teach Brahma Vidya. A little footnote here is that the first five chapters of the Chandogya Upanishad are various upasanas, preparation for the last three chapters, namely 6, 7, and 8. This is just a mere preparation. And then so this is for taking care of raga and dvesha, taking care of the wandering mind, taking care of the restless body, can't sit in one place, can't do this, can't do that, taking care of the restless eyes because the eyes are all over the place and cannot focus. So, and then learning how to calm the mind, resolve the mind. So there is a meditation on Om. There is a, there is a meditation on various the koshas. There are so many kinds of different upasanas, and the idea is that coming to equipped with all these upasanas helps us to get wade into the waters of the sixth chapter, because we are ready. If somebody were to raise their hand and uh, you know if somebody were to raise their hand and say, and actually, you can do that. You see here, you see that there is one blessing hand that has come up. So you can, this feature is there, they've just added it, I suppose, so I just played with it. But so you can raise your, somebody were to raise your hand and say, somebody were to say, but we haven't studied the first five chapters of the Upanishad, how can we just jump into the sixth chapter? Are we really ready? The answer is yes. Why? Because you've been studying Vedanta for some time. Number one. Number two, you're also ready because whatever you have faced in life and whatever you are facing in life is the same thing that you would get from all the upasanas of the first five chapters. Life itself is a sadhana lived properly. And so, yes, so you are ready for the sixth chapter. So, briefly, the sixth, seventh, and eighth chapter, I will just look, a cursory look at the topics, so that you have, you see the similarities of these chapters and what makes this Upanishad a perfect place for a perfect thing for people who are, more introverted, more into themselves, more into, deeper study, more into scholarly study, etc. Why it is so conducive for that, we can see. So the sixth chapter is the story of a very arrogant Shvetaketu coming back from the Gurukula, and then not knowing the one thing, knowing which everything is known, i.e., Brahman. This is the sixth chapter. This is what we are going to be studying. And then his own father turns into a teacher of Brahma Vidya. We'll be seeing that. The seventh chapter, likewise, is a very erudite sage, Narada. Narada, the very erudite sage, Trilokagami, the one who goes in all the lokas without visa, passport, nothing, no vaccines needed. He can just go from one place to another completely. And then just, and people are delighted to see him, because everybody cannot do that. It's a blessing he has. And so whenever he comes, everybody welcomes him. What news? What news? So this Narada, who knew the Rig Veda, who knew the Yajur Veda, who knew the Sama Veda, who knew the Atharva Veda, who knew Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Niruktam, Chandasam, Jyotisham, and then who knew Brahma, Kshatra Vidya, Nakshatra Vidya, Shastra Vidya, Shastra Vidya, this Vidya, that Vidya, what you have heard of Vidya, what you haven't heard of Vidya, everything. Yeah, and then he says, Soham Bhagavaha. He goes to Sanat Kumara. Sanat Kumara is the disciple of Lord Dakshinamurti, one of the sages sitting at the feet of Lord Dakshinamurti. Don't ask me which one, anyone. You pick one and you name him Sanat Kumara, no problem. He is as good as invoked. And so Narada goes to Sanat Kumara in chapter 7. And famous people cannot study Vedanta, very difficult because you are in a very awkward situation. How do you go and how do you approach a teacher when you know all these things already, and then you have the complex, everybody thinks I know, so I cannot pretend to not know, and it becomes a problem. You can't just be like any other student and go sit in the class. Yeah, I'll give you an example. Once Pujya Swamiji had sent someone to the ashram in Georgia to stay. The person was going through a de-addiction program. And so Swamiji said, keep this person with you and then, take care of this person for a few weeks. Let them stay here. So then I went to Alcoholics Anonymous in the town, in the nearest town. Valdosta. I went to Alcoholics Anonymous in Valdosta. And then I was there with this person and a few other people who used to come to the ashram once in a while. They were there. And they said, Swamiji, you also have this problem. So, you know, then they saw the person with me, and then it was, this thing. So, in a way, if you are known even a little bit, it's very difficult to study because there is this feeling that, oh, I should know this, and it's very difficult to approach a teacher. But to Narada's, you know, to Narada's credit, he approaches the teacher and he's very honest. And Sanat Kumara asked, should I begin at Vedanta 001, 101, 501 graduate class? Where should I teach? Tell me. And Narada says, well, I know all these things. But then he adds, Soham Bhagavaha. Soham, you know that you are Soham. No, no, no. I am this much alone. The one who knows all this. Saha, Aham. Saha means this miserable bag of, this miserable person I am. Shochami. I grieve. I'm subject to grief. Shokasya param tarayatu bhavan. Please take me on the other side of sorrow. Can't stand it. See, again, the same pattern, the arrogance of Shvetaketu, the erudition of Narada, chapter 7. And in chapter 8, we have the fame and the pride of Indra. We have the fame and the resistance, I should say, not even pride. We have the resistance of Indra. And how the eighth chapter is also very, very beautiful, very important, very beautiful, because it talks about Indra, the king of the Devas, and Virochana, the king of the Asuras, going to Lord Prajapati for self-knowledge. And then what happens? It turns out that Virochana is nothing but Indra's inner child. This is what it is. And until Virochana leaves, the teaching does not take place. In fact, the teacher just misleads them. And this is really what happens. There is resistance in the beginning. For example, they both stayed, Virochana and Indra, and throughout this, Virochana is completely silent. He doesn't say even a single thing thing in the whole chapter 8, Virochana doesn't have a voice. And there are two reasons for this. One is the Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita, for that matter, make sure to not give a voice to asuras. Asuras don't get to speak in the Bhagavad Gita, or anybody with asuri pravritti. They don't get to speak in the Upanishad either. Like, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, we have Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dhritarashtra said. Then we have what else? We have Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya, the person who is the Sutradhara, who is giving the story and connections, Sanjaya said. Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna said. And then, of course, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. But never Duryodhana Uvacha. Never. And even when Duryodhana talks, his words are reported in indirect speech. Raja Vachanam Abravit. That's what he's not talked of directly. Similarly, the Upanishad does not want to give a microphone to the Asuras to give the wrong meaning that they can just have their say in a sacred text. So this is one reason Virochana doesn't get any airtime. And the other reason is because Virochana is a silent part of Indra, the inner brat of Indra, the inner child, filled with raga, dveshas, resistance, wrong knowledge, you name it, he got it. And then until he is dismissed, until he leaves Prajapati's Gurukulam, the teaching does not take place. Then only Indra finally understands. So you see, the Chandogya Upanishad, there is some way in which there is this. It is meant for thinkers. It is meant for people who have a deep commitment to this knowledge. It is meant for people who like to do Shravanam and Mananam, Nididhyasanam, all three. So it is, in fact, all the other Upanishad from the Samaveda, which is what Kena Upanishad, that also is like that. It puts things, yasyamatam, tasyamatam, na vedasaha, yasyamatam, tasyamatam, yasya matam na vedasaha. The one who doesn't know knows, and the one who knows doesn't know. Avijnatam, vijanatam, vijnatam, avijanatam. Like this, it just makes you completely soft in the head, in the sense that when, all the notions and all the dearly held ideas and the dearly held inner children, inner brats, psychological issues are shaken like a gunny bag. Like you buy something in the olden times. Why that? Not that ancient times, even 10, 15 years ago, things used to come in gunny bags. Now everything is plastic. So in the gunny bag in India, the grocer would deliver the items. And so the items would be taken out. And then, what we would do, we would take the gunny bag outside and shake out all the cockroaches and whatever else might be there. Scorpions, cockroaches, whatever were there. And so, like this is what Bhashya study does. It shakes out the cockroaches that do not belong. It rids one of the notions, and one just, the ahankara gives up. The ahankara does sashtanga namaskara to the Upanishad, and that's what we want. And that's why this Upanishad is very, very beautiful. And it is a must for study. In fact, I insist that you all study this Upanishad. And then, every Veda has a Shanti Mantra, because we know that there is many a slip between the aforementioned cup and lip. So you're enjoying a cup of water and you think, how many cups of water have I drunk? What will happen? Of course, I will enjoy it. But Bhagavan intervenes, karma intervenes, and then it gets spilled. or the glass crashes to the ground, something happens. And so therefore what? So therefore the the prayer is for two reasons. One is to ward off the obstacles in the study just by praying, and secondly to focus the mind and to ask for specific things so that the study is not interrupted. Because what happens is this, there is a what's that, in the beginning there is a lot of enthusiasm. Why? Because one naturally wants this study. When one says, I've been waiting for this, I'm a mumukshu, I'm a jignasu, I want this. It's not a made up desire, it's a genuine desire. But that desire is hijacked sometimes by karmic influences called prarabdha, the karma to be expended in this birth. Or something happens, and even though this is Arsha Vidya Zoom Kulam, this is all you have to do is turn on your computer and then you have it. But still, maybe the Wi-Fi doesn't work. Maybe something happens. There are obstacles. Or suddenly one day you wake up, you don't feel like it, or you forget the class was there. Or you have every intention of logging on. So, but the logging didn't happen. Why? Because one was busy blogging. First, one thought, I will blog, and then I will log, and then only the blogging happened and the logging didn't happen. So, like this, there are many obstacles. And so, therefore, the prayer. And then the second reason is, as I said, in the beginning, there is enthusiasm. It is called soda can enthusiasm. You take a Coca Cola, you shake it nicely, a can of Coca Cola, and then you go, then what happens? And then after that, what? Flat. So this usually happens because the mind wants something new. The mind is sick of Shatashloki. Why did you bring up Shatashloki? Because that is what we are studying on whenever it is Tuesdays. And then the mind says Bodhasara, Bodhashmara. That's the other class that is already underway. So then, this is same old, same old. Now I know Narahari style, and then now I know the Adi Shankara, the Shankaracharya that wrote the Shatashloki. I know his style also, and then the enthusiasm wanes. The mind wants something new. The mind is trying to catch hold of something, and so therefore the prayer, what it does is it steadies the soda bottle enthusiasm to make it a wonderful flow, like a warm spring from the ground. Jignasa just bursts forth and keeps on blessing one and blessing the people that come in your purview also. That is how jignasa should be. And so for that we pray, so that there are no obstacles to the study, so that I have the dhairya, the staying power, the patience, and whatever is required. And every Veda has a Shanti Mantra, and this is the Shanti Mantra in the chat pod, what is there. And if people join late and this Zoom sometimes doesn't, give this, I will uh, copy paste it again, so you can do that. Yeah. So this is the Shanti Mantra for the um, oh, I suppose I should also share that uh, bhashya as well for those who came in a little later. It's not allowing me to do that. I will paste it again later on. At the end of class I will share that. So, the Shanti Mantra for this Veda is very, very beautiful. because it addresses all the things that we have talked about today. A sense of ill being with oneself, a sense that one has been abandoned even by God, a sense that there is, that I cannot do this. I'm not fit for this study. All these feelings, it addresses very beautifully. So let us look at this. Apyayantu mama angani. Mama, mine, angani, my limbs. Apyayantu. Vridhim prapnuvantu. May they gain in strength. Balam is already talked about there. Balam will come the word. May they gain in strength. Meaning what? I should be doing push ups to gain his strength, or I should be developing a six pack. The only six pack you need for the Upanishad are Shama, Dama, Titiksha, Uparati, Shraddha, Samadhanam. Six pack, okay? A pack of six virtues. That's what you need. But here, it's not the strengthening of the limbs per se. It is that's not what the limbs are for here. Apyayantu means may they be protected. Like the length of time I need to sit without squirming all the time, looking here, looking there, getting distracted, all that is addressed here. That let me have a laser like focus. So protect my limbs so that they can just cooperate. Vak, speech. Pranah, chakshuhu, shrotram, atha, u, balam. U is just also a indeclinable expression. So, vak, speech. Speech is very wonderful because unlike the other indriyas, the other indriyas means what? The karanas, the other sense organs, which just take in whatever is there. They are just they just take things in. Vak is the only one that takes in and then puts out also. That's why it is specially mentioned. And then Shrotram, Pranaha, my prana, and then Chakshu. Chakshu here means everything else. All the other five sense organs are there. Chakshu, Shrotram, two are mentioned. Indriyani cha sarvani balam apyayantu. May they grow in strength. What does it mean to grow in strength? Adi Sankara, commenting on this, which we will be seeing a little later, maybe tomorrow, Adi Sankara commenting on this says that may they grow in strength means may they become conducive. May all the sense organs become conducive to the study of Brahma Vidya. And then why should they all calm down? Because sarvam brahma sarvam aupanishadam brahma. All that is here is just Brahman, and to understand this Brahman, one studies the Upanishad. Upanishadi bhavam. This is a tadhita formation, and which means born of the Upanishad. So it's not that Brahman is born of the Upanishad. Brahman is as good as born of the Upanishad because Brahman Upanishadi Pratipaditam is taught in the Upanishad. Upanishada Pratipaditam, taught through the Upanishad, taught in the form of the Upanishad. So therefore, this everything being Brahman, everything, this is a declaration by the Mumukshu, a reminder that I am not this separate person, anxious, full of worries, full of double guessing, all this. I am, I am a person who is very much connected to everything because I am Brahman. Sarvam, and this Brahman is known through the Upanishad. This is why I'm studying this. This is why I have joined this class. So each time you pray, you remember the focus and why you joined this, because this is very beautiful. This is said in the prayer. The reason for the study is because it is Upanishadam Brahma. It is known only through the Upanishad. Therefore, I'm studying this Chandogya. Then The next one is so beautiful. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. Nirakuryam means may I never negate. May I never indulge in the negation of Brahman. Asanneva sabhavati asad brahmeti vedachet. Elsewhere in the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a mantra. Asat eva sabhavati. That person becomes asat. Asat means as good as non-existent. But just now you said you are never non-existent because you are self-evident and all you have to ask the question is, are you here? Well, the person who says there ain't no Brahman becomes as good as self non-existent. Because the self being Brahman, if you deny Brahman, it's the rankest form of self denial. So, oh Lord, may I never be in the place to deny you. Denial of you as Jagat Karanam Brahma, as the cause of the universe, is as good as a self, as a form of self denial. And then, this being the human mind, one always like to put the blame on someone else. It wasn't me, it was that person over there. No, 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 I am not denying Brahman. I love Brahman, but Brahman don't love me. Brahman doesn't like me. Why? But Brahman here is Ishvara, okay? Ishvara doesn't like me. Why? Because Ishvara has given me a terrible life. A loda loda body. Loda loda means on its last legs. Okay, a body that is always complaining. Can't eat, can't drink, can't do this, can't do that, can't go here, can't go there. Don't worry, everybody is in the same place because of the pandemic. Okay, nobody is going anywhere. Okay, you can take heart in that. And then, and then the body is full of aches, and this is the mind is elsewhere. And therefore, what? This means Ishvara doesn't love me. What a strange conclusion. Ishvara doesn't have to send you one, heart shaped, what is that called, emoji, and say, I heart you, oh Jiva. It is because there is no difference. This difference, this bheda comes, and along with the bheda comes the feeling that God has abandoned me, Ishvara has abandoned me. That's why the jiva gets together with other jivas and people sing sad songs. When will you be mine? When will you give me darshan? When will you be one with me? Why are you playing hide and seek? Oh Lord, oh Goddess, where are you? This is because instead of satsang, it becomes sad sang. Okay, the sad one sang, and then this is what this is the problem, and this problem is beautifully captured. It is unlike any other Shanti mantra. It is so beautiful, goes deep into the heart of this jiva, this confused jiva, and so and says, okay, if you are convinced that Bhagavan has abandoned you, pray for Bhagavan not to abandon you. It goes along with the person's feeling. This is called some kind, the technical term for this is Pratipaksha Bhava. Pratipaksha Bhava means seeing the other person's point of view. If somebody comes in and says, I have been bitten by a snake. Where is the snake? Show me the snake. And they show you the rope lying in the backyard. And then you keep telling them this is a rope. They don't listen. They are so distraught. So you give them, some pink colored water and say, this is an antidote. Drink it quickly. And after they have drunk it, then they calm down. Then you tell them this is not a snake. Look, please, this is a rope. So similarly here the person is convinced Bhagavan doesn't love me, Bhagavan has given up on me. And so for that person, for which is actually everyone at some point or the other feels this secret sad feeling that I have been abandoned by the maker of the universe. And so here Brahman Jagat Karanam Brahma, the cause of the universe. And so Mama Brahma. Ma means may Mam, me, Ma, not. May Brahman never abandon me. Abba, I have said it. Okay, now it is in your hands. So now I have offered it as a prayer. The dredge, the the dredgy sludgy part of my unconscious, I have taken it and put it at your feet. Now it belongs to you. I have just washed off my hands of it, and I can walk away confident and ready for Upanishad study. See how beautiful it is. And then then in case there is a negation from other jivas, in case there is a negation from the neighbor, from the things that I love, from the people that I love, let us also pray emboldened. Then there is a prayer for no more negation all round. Anirakaranam astu, anirakaranam me astu. May there be no negation. May there be no negation for me. Okay, so this is this is how it is. Don't let there be no negation at all. And then and how do I get there? Very beautiful. Yeah, tadatmani nirate. Nirate means always, always. Those dharmas, those attributes, those values, and those attitudes talked about in the Upanishad itself. Upanishad Sudharma, the dharmas, the attributes, the values, and how to behave, how to be a student, etc., which are talked about in the Upanishad, like in the sentences Shanto, Danto, Titikshuhu, Samahito, Bhutva, Te Vividishanti. This is a Veda Vakya, a Vakya in one of the Vedas. So, after gaining Shama, Dama, Titiksha, and Samadhanam, they desire to study. So, like this, Veditum Ichanti Vividishanti. So, they desire to study like these. There are sentences. And so, those values in the Upanishad, delineated in the Upanishad, may they reside in me. Te mayi santu. And this is repeated for the sake of adara. Adara means adararthe. We'll see that. This is repeated for the sake of respecting the prayer. And then it ends with Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, and the three sources of pain, which is the and obstacles, which one from Adi Daivika, centered on acts of God, Bhagavan, one from Adi Bhautika, centered on the elementals and my own immediate surroundings, and one Adhyatmika, the last one, centered on things coming from inside my own head, my own projections, dejections, etc. May I be freed of all of them. And there is a bhashya for this also. So we will study that tomorrow and start with the text. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Any questions? If there are any questions, tomorrow I'll make space for questions. But if there are any urgent ones today that you can't wait, you can tell me.